When making Call of Duty 2 Big Red One, the developers at Treyarch conducted interviews with the real veterans of the 1st Infantry Division, and what they learned from these real-life heroes influenced every aspect of the game, from the story, to the character design, to the level design. Everything was inspired by these men and their sacrifice. Now in the year 2025, the developers at Treyarch must have worked off a similar interview process, though this time they appeared to have prompted Grok AI with something like, okay, so without launching into an anti-Semitic rant, could you lay out the blueprints for a badass, trippy, first-person shooter set in the Black Ops universe? Then they proceeded to build their entire game around whatever response was spit back out at them. So yeah, we all seem to know that Black Ops 7 isn't doing all that well.
Oh my goodness!
But I don't want the focus here to be on Black Ops 7. The point with this video is to talk about what seeing Black Ops 7's underwhelming release has made me realize about the older, often overlooked games in the franchise. Because I kind of think the lack of humanity that we're seeing in Black Ops 7 due to the AI accusations is at direct odds with the attempt to respect humanity that I found when playing Call of Duty 2 Big Red One.
When I get hit with some shrapnel, knocked me down, and the tide is coming in, and I'm gonna drown. Finally, somebody came down from this shale area, and it was my buddy, you know. I survived because of him when a lot of my good friends were killed.
This man, John McAfee, provides his recollection of his deployment into Normandy on D-Day, and that's exactly how it plays out in the game. We just experienced an artistic representation of this man, this hero's near-death experience. Tell me that's not amazing. It's just crazy to look back and think that this game got overshadowed just because there were a lot of games like it in the genre. When this one was doing things like this, it's just crazy to me. Because at least all those games that were crowding the genre were all stories coming from humans inspired by the lives of other humans.
We really wanted you to go through this game feeling like that you were experiencing the events with a group of people who you get to know.
Black Ops 7 appears to be so disconnected from anything anybody wanted or likes from a Call of Duty game. There are accusations that things as integral to the game as the dialogue scripts and the story outline being AI generated due to how incoherent the story is upon playing it. And when the current attempts to create a bond between the players and the in-game characters looks like this.
Damn it. Even after all this time, he refuses to let me go.
There's really no way you could rule out those accusations. So while I had some minor issues going back and playing Big Red One due to the game's age, okay, so X is the grenade button, and I think I accidentally grenaded a teammate, and I'll take old graphics, janky controls, and a less cinematic way of storytelling any day if my alternative is something so bland, uninspiring, and just bad that people are concluding it must have been computer generated. In my retrospective on Big Red One, I talked about how the old way of presenting a COD game didn't really land with me at first, because I come from the area of
50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town.
Our so-called leaders prostituted us to the West, destroyed our culture, our economies, our honor.
So going back and playing this,
Guys are counting on us, and we can't let them down.
How come everyone's always counting on us, Sarge?
Because we're the infantry, Corporal, and God loves the infantry!
was a bit of an adjustment for me. And at first this really had me disregarding the story this game was trying to tell. And that blame is more on me needing to adjust to this different style of Call of Duty game than Red One being bad in some way. I found myself discovering the true intent of this game and really caring about the characters and events after I found the bonus documentary footage with the real members of the 1st Infantry Division. And now that Black Ops 7 unfortunately exists, I find myself incredibly grateful for what Big Red One was able to accomplish in 2005, 20 years ago. Wow. It's been 20 years. So what did 20 years get us? Well, there are 3 very important facts that set the stage before you can discuss Black Ops 7. 1. Activision issued this statement when people started noticing AI art assets in the game's cosmetics section. 2. It's now known that Microsoft has been pushing AI use for all of its subsidiary companies. This would include Activision and Treyarch. And 3. The game is considered incoherent at best by those who have played it. So I think when a game uses AI, it's like when someone on a successful team is caught cheating. You start to doubt everything the team accomplished. Like, were they only good because the individual cheated? Or was it actually inconsequential and the team was good anyways? And at the end of the day, neither of those things really matter, because everything is tainted with doubt and negativity after that. I mean, I don't even really have to play Black Ops 7 to know this is the case in regards to its campaign. They've admitted to AI use in any capacity, so now everything is in question. But I dipped my toe into Black Ops 7 anyways. And don't look at me like that. I didn't buy it. I still had a little bit of Game Pass left on a 3-month free trial, so I figured it'd be worth the sake of this video to go see what the game is actually like. I felt like it would be a little weird to rag on it this much without seeing or playing at least some of it for myself. And no, judging on my experience with just getting into and trying to play the first mission, this campaign does seem just as nonsensical as we've heard people talking about. I mean, upon just booting up the campaign section of the game, I'm greeted with a cutscene showing what appears to be major plot points with a villain we don't know who shoots a lady that is all over the marketing, so she must be important. Then David Mason says he wasn't interested in her in the first place, and then we fade to black. The game opens with this cutscene, where David Mason is at the tombstone of Frank Woods, and he's discussing a video from Menendez that I didn't see.
Take it you saw the video?
Yeah. Me and a few 100 million others.
No, it never happened.
Like, was this a trailer? Why would the game just assume that I, the player, know what video you're talking about if you haven't shown me? You're certainly not beating the AI script allegations with this. And after that cutscene, it places me in a multiplayer lobby where I can choose to load up for the first mission. And I'm not gonna lie to you, that's about as far as I got into this campaign.
There's bad, and then there's this. The worst campaign in COD history was Modern Warfare 3 2023, but that was bad for all the normal reasons. You know, human reasons. Rushed, bad enemy design, bad dialogue, poorly written story, V for Makarov. The usual stuff. Playing this game was miserable, and talking about it just only a little less so. It's not coherent, it's not fun, it isn't exciting or funny or anything. It's worse than bad.
So that's a YouTuber named Bricky, who played the entirety of the Black Ops 7 campaign. I wanted to give you his thoughts on the campaign because I'm not here to review Black Ops 7. I wanted to use this video more to discuss on how spectating the reaction to Black Ops 7 really made me appreciate what we got in 2005 with Big Red One. So I don't think it required me to put myself through playing all of Black Ops 7. But I found it important to try and set up some of the things that appear to be wrong or lacking for Black Ops 7 because they're exactly what we find in the Big Red One. While Big Red One's plot may seem simple, or maybe that it's lacking when compared to the thriller-style terrorist chase that later entries would take players on, the larger plot points or locations you shift between aren't really the focus of the game in the same way that newer Call of Duties would get you used to. What Big Red One is trying to convey is the feeling of being in a real World War II squad of teammates. And in these days, it's an attempt I really appreciate. Tracing a route through World War II that an actual unit of the military embarked upon, using their name and iconography, getting to experience how through casualties, new recruits would soon become veterans of the unit, and would then haze their new squad mates just as they had been hazed by those before them. And this premise alone is a cool concept to a World War II game. But then seeing those who lived it explain these concepts and how it had affected them, how they had been hazed in this way, and the way they still remember those details.
And the guys from Sicily and Africa were very standoffish. And I found out why. They don't want to annoy you because you get whacked, they get a friendship. And I understood that because these guys had been through Africa and Sicily. There were so many replacements for the casualties they had in Sicily.
It all brings everything together in a way that gives me a ton of respect for both those who sacrificed everything in that war and the makers of this game that did everything they could to honor them by telling their stories in this medium. When we see Vic go down, or Hawkins get injured, or in the final push, in the middle of discussing how he may actually get to see home, Brooklyn Dies by Mortar Fire. These squad mates represent real people from the experiences of those men who fought in those battles. And understanding that gives the entire game an entire new dimension that it didn't have before. That's why my only wish out of this game would have been to set the stage before each mission with a piece of that soldier interview to provide context and give every player that perspective. Because the interview I saw was locked behind the bonus section that I believe was only available in the collector's edition of the game. And hiding these interviews in a special edition of the game is borderline criminal, because the context they give is the main reason why this has become one of my favorite Call of Duty games. Because without it, this game could easily be taken out of context for just another run-of-the-mill World War II action plot, which I think it kind of was taken that way in 2005. And all this conversation coming out of seeing Black Ops 7's failure to launch brings up a lot of different sentiments for me. It had me looking back at Big Red One in an even more appreciative light than I held it in before. It really makes me hope that eventually, when Call of Duty inevitably pivots to go back to its roots, they truly take inspiration from these aspects of the older games, and that they strive to create something inspiring or moving to their human audience. But that's kind of hard to hope for and envision, since Call of Duty is really far off from what it was in 2005. I mean, to highlight this point, in IGN's written review of Big Red One, the reviewer wrote, quote, "And understand that the multiplayer component is not Call of Duty's biggest draw," end quote. So it is difficult to hope for an inspiring campaign when the motivation will always lie with what brings fans and generates revenue, which nowadays is the multiplayer. But yeah, seeing the veteran interviews after playing Big Red One helped me realize the game's message of inspiration, camaraderie, and humanity. Seeing Black Ops 7's release 8 months later after playing that old game made me realize that that message is exactly what we need right now. Thanks for watching.